there.
Before I interview this two individuals, I got two companies that sent me supplements so I can try them. I'm going to show them this to you. And if I'm not satisfied in the next episode, I'm going to talk shit about them. This one is called Oxygen by Novex Biotech. This is supposed to give you oxygen and you could do more reps in your weightlifting or whatever. Now, I've been curious about protein lately, and I don't get enough protein because I love rice. And so one of my buddy in Beverly International said, try this and take 4 tabs every time you eat or even before you work out. So I got this yesterday in a packet, and so I'm gonna try it since I don't get enough protein.
Okay, what is that supposed to do for you? What's that supposed to do for you? What's that supposed to do for you?
It's supposed to keep your amino acid pool maintained, if that makes sense, right? It has all the essential amino acids, as they say. Not the VCAA as much. For some reason,
the problem is you need protein, so you still got to take protein. I mean,
yeah, you still got to take protein. I don't, my meals, I don't have a lot of protein in them. And so I figured, yeah, maybe it'll add to it a little bit. I'm okay with that. We'll see what happens. And then if it doesn't work, then I have something to say about it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, well, for example, Kathy Reyes is about to compete for her pro card this Sunday. And Kathy Reyes, when she started in this industry, in the fitness, she met Coach Brian Anderson. Coach Brian, welcome. Kathy, hello. Welcome. And they have been together ever since, as far as training, as far as nutrition is concerned. And I believe last one is the one where you won, right, Kathy?
She came in first place in her novice, and she came in second place in her open.
And by the way, Brian, to be honest, we accused her of taking steroids. She took that, she took that personally. Dude, that's a compliment.
No.
Well, it's a compliment when you're not taking it, but it's a bad accusation when people accuse you of that. But she's clean as a whistle.
Yeah, she is. I believe her. She's a good friend of mine, and she has the good genetics too. So, hey, Kathy, how do you feel that you're a few days away of competing for the pro?
I'm surprisingly energetic for peak week.
I'm surprised.
I'm very surprised. You saw me last year, actually, because we had the
Hawaii Festival, Hawaii. Yeah.
And that's where I started my peak week, and I was drained and tired. And this week, it's like, okay, what's next? What are we doing? So I feel great overall. Like I said, I'm not too low on energy. He's not starving me. I'm drinking enough water. I feel good. I think it's gonna hit me, like the nerves are gonna hit me once I go and register later after this podcast.
Yeah. What's your BF percentage right now?
Based on, go ahead. You answer that.
Go ahead, Brian.
We really don't know. I presume it's between 10 and 15, somewhere around there. It's about what she looks like. It's not about what her body fat is. So with that in mind, we don't really care, because if her body fat was 15 and she looked terrible, we would be upset. If it's 15 and she looks fantastic, it won't matter. So.
But I did start at 21% body fat 11 weeks ago.
I mean, Brian, last time she was like 19%, as she told me, and she looked great, man.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. We went back and looked at some pictures from May and June, and she wasn't obviously overweight, but in comparison to what she looks like now, she looks like she was way overweight.
She's got more details. She's got more details.
You don't notice it, but I mean, this honestly is the lowest we've ever had her. This is the best we've ever had her look in all the time we've trained. Granted, and this is the first time, well, actually second show she's done as a vegetarian. All the other shows were done non-vegetarian. So
that's a little tough, isn't it, Brian? I mean, with your experience being vegetarian and all that stuff, isn't that a little tough to build muscles?
it can be. The problem is most people can't get their protein up, but we found ways to get our protein up that was safe. I honestly believe that the plant-based protein is a lot cleaner.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
I don't think it is as hard on the body, but it's hard to find it. And it's hard to manage it when you're going through a meal plan, especially a meal plan to compete in a show like this. It can be very difficult. So we really think about it. Last year was our first year doing it. That was like our test run in a way, because we were able to look back on what we did last year and see, but she started higher last year, whereas this year she started about 5 pounds lower before she started, getting ready for prep.
Well,
So
let's
that
go.
was a lot
Let's
better.
go back for the very first time you met Kathy, Brian. In her condition at that time, what was your plan?
With her,
Yeah.
first to see if she was even going to show up and train. Okay, because I met her because I met her before that, and me and
Yeah.
her had some interaction, so it wasn't like it was a complete stranger.
Yeah.
But I met her at a Orange County social, and she told me, "Hey, I want to do a show," and I was like, "Okay," because I hear people tell me that all the time.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't get all excited. I'm like,
I know.
"Okay, here's the gym. When are you coming down?" And I think that I think I did reach out to her afterwards and say, "Hey, are you serious? You gonna come or what?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." Then that was it.
And that was it. She never wavered, and she's been consistent ever since.
Well, he kind of like had it all there for me, right? Like the day that I did the assessment with him, the gym where he was training is actually Stearns Gym and is the oldest gym in the country.
The oldest, the better.
The oldest gym in the
Yeah.
country. I love that gym.
She's making all my notes.
Yes. Anyways, so when it was like literally 2 blocks away from the studio where I was working in San Diego. And so it was easy for me because I would just walk. I would walk. I did my assessment. I remember he goes, "Okay, well, your deadline is December, whatever." I think it was like the 5th of December
Yeah.
of 2015. So he gave me a deadline, and right the same day he was working with a nutritionist and posing coach. And so she came over. Her name was Rosie. Her name is Rosie. She came over. She saw me in a bathing suit, and right there she gave me a meal plan. Like she goes, "Okay, blah blah blah." She pulled up her computer, gave me a meal plan, did my measurements, everything, and I felt like I had no room to think about it. It was more like, "Oh snap, I'm doing this." Like he gave me a deadline, and the posting coach and nutritionist is here. All right, we're doing this.
So Brian, when you start students like this, individual like this for the first time like that, do you start them in a certain beginner weight program, or do you assess their body first, or how do you do it?
Initially, I just do an assessment. Basically, I try to gauge your core strength. Do they know how to squat? Do they know how to do some of the basic movements just with body weight before I even touch weight? Okay, so if they can't move a certain way, then I need to see how easy it is for me to get her or him to move. And I also interact with them. So it tells me her personality or his personality and what's going on. And I'll say a few things to see if I can motivate them to move a certain way or motivate them to get excited to do something. Because I'm trying to figure out their personality too. It's also a way for both of us to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because, if you got people you can't work with, some people can put on a fraud. You find out after you get going with them that you can't work with them afterwards. But that wasn't the case with her. And then she was the first person I had to deal with that actually was traveling as a professional dancer. So how was I going to manage her meals and how was that going to work? Whereas that can be a problem.
Yeah, that could have been a problem. Now, did you
And I
know
was his
at
first
that
bikini
time?
competitor.
Yeah, she was my first bikini girl.
Yeah, but did you know at that time she was going to compete, Brian?
Yeah.
Really?
Bikini.
That was her goal from the get-go, right?
Yes, because that's what she said. I want to do a show. There was no debate about it. It wasn't like, "Hey, I just want to come train with you."
Right.
Now,
right.
I didn't know if she would be here this many years later. I thought it could have been a one and done deal. Okay, because getting ready for a show and coming down and all that stuff, that is very, very difficult. a lot of people see the end result. They don't see all the work that goes into getting to you that end result. So sometimes when people see that and they have to then go through it, they change their mind real quick. It becomes,
Yep.
I'm not sure if I really want to.
Yep.
But she's been on the stage her whole life. So for her to be on stage and preparing is just like doing choreography and prepping and getting that together. She just translate that kind of dedication to doing this with her nutrition and the training. So for her, it's really an easier transition than some people that just jump off a couch and start, you know, haven't done nothing for 5 years and, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, so it was much easier. And we didn't know we were up against, neither one of us did.
That's a good thing, right? If you don't know what you're up against.
Yeah, sometimes when you don't know how everything's working against you, it can be a lot better.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but she was my first bikini girl, so I didn't really know how to necessarily train the bikini girls.
Yeah.
I did. I had ideas, but I wasn't had a thorough experience of training so many. She was the first, so I had to learn some things differently. I had to learn what was important for them as far as presenting their body versus figure, because all the people I had done before was figure. I've always worked with more like bodybuilder types, not that they're bodybuilders, but it's a different style. It's
totally
a different way
yeah.
of creating the body that they want, the look that they want, you know, so that when they're in certain stances and certain positions, we still are learning even that now, because Miss Intense over here does like research forever that I got to slow down sometimes, because sometimes knowing too much can hinder you. You almost can't make a decision.
Well, especially when you have many options.
You know?
And I also think like the very first time I did it, it was more completing the challenge, right? Sticking through, you know, the entire program, like finishing the entire thing. My mindset wasn't into like, I want to do this as a complete lifestyle, and I'm gonna do my best to make it pro, right? Like I didn't have that mentality. So a lot of it is here too on how I started. And then, so I did 3 shows back to back, you can say, because I did them like every 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And everything, like I said, I think I did the best, you know, then, but also I had a different mentality when it came to the bathing suits. Like, you know, in the dance world, like when you go, my competition every year was the World Cup, right? And so my last World Latin Dance Cup actually was 2014. And so 2015, same in December, it became the fitness, right? And so I always felt like designing my costume was my thing. Like, oh my God, I want this and this and that. And you always want to like showcase the best costume. So I brought that to the fitness industry, not knowing that it's very different. Because I was looking at the girls and I'm like, why do all the girls have like the same style bathing suit? Here I am like designing my bathing suit. I want a strap here. So if you look at my pictures from the first 3 shows, the bathing suit looks so off, you know. There's a standard bathing suit, and we weren't aware of that. We were just, and he was more, okay, well, it doesn't seem like it's a problem, right? But the more, you know, like you learn with your mistakes.
I'm not used to, I don't even know what bikini categories either, and the way they judge you. Do they judge you by your costume? No, right? Your bikini?
No, it's a standard bathing suit.
I'm going to be honest, up until her, I actually didn't have a lot of respect necessarily for the bikini girls. Hold on. No, really.
He didn't. He actually wanted me to be a figure girl, huh?
Yeah, I've always thought, Kathy.
I said bikini. Boys thought bikini. I said I normally do figure, but I said bikini. My thing with it was, you know, you hear people talk about bikini, and then, you know, they don't always get a great reputation, but having to train a bikini girl to get ready to be at least be competitive. Because all I ask for, at least in their first shows, I want them to have a very good experience. Even if it's their first and their last show, I want it to be a good experience, because they'll always remember that experience.
Yeah.
It can't come back to haunt you, because the second show is always the hardest show, because they remember the first show. But that being said, so I had to learn, once I learned how difficult it was to train them, the style and what I needed to work on and focus on, then I've gained a lot more respect. And I've gained a lot more respect for the posing. because we, see them
Totally
that they
different.
just do their pose. We always think that the posing, just bent over and doing the back pose for them, the legs. There's so much more that goes into it. And I've learned even more in the last 14 weeks because Captain Research over here has done so much research.
I mean, you don't even do double biceps pose, do you?
No, there's no double bicep.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah. Okay, it's totally different.
But let me tell you something though. Bikini girls are the biggest attraction to all these shows. If it wasn't for bikini, I don't know if these shows would be around, to tell you the truth.
You know what? It's the most competitive, yes or no?
It's very competitive because between the top three, there's some little small nuance that's going to make someone number 1, number 2, and number 3.
Yeah.
And 4 and 5. They're very, very close. And that's some of the problem because a lot of times with bodybuilding, as far as the more muscular, like the figure girls and physique, you can kind of look and be like, that's your winner right there. But you'll look and see bikini and you can see a girl, they can be very close. And you're like, man, how's that girl in the first spot? I think the girl in the second spot looks better. And then it'll be some little movement she did, the way she posed and she made her waist look smaller. It's kind of crazy.
I can see that. But it does look like it's replacing the fitness category or something. I think the fitness category is dying. The figures.
They actually just came up with a new one. They came up with wellness.
Oh yeah, the health and wellness, including the gentlemen also now. They're coming up with health and wellness, which is probably the newest one, isn't it?
Well, I haven't seen the male wellness, but here we have the female wellness, and the female wellness is a concoction of figure and bikini. Basically, the girls come in with oversized legs, big glutes, but they have the upper body of a bikini girl.
Yeah. There's a bodybuilder that's switching to health and wellness right now. I forgot her name. She's from the Middle East, but yeah. So
well, if you can't build those quads up, you can't get oversized quads and be huge there, you're in bad shape.
Yeah, that's have some heavy squats, dude. I don't know, man. It's either you have the genetics for it. I don't know if you're really hard work. I don't know, but Kathy surprised me. Knowing her being a dancer, she really surprised me there. Getting into the fitness world, I would say. Kathy,
what surprised you?
What surprised me is that she got into it in the first place. It's really so rare from the dance industry to get into the other industry like that. It's rare. So what didn't surprise me is the dedication that she's consistent with it. That does not surprise me at all. And what didn't surprise me is that she is in shape. She has the shapes and she's totally natural. That didn't surprise me because I've known her when she was voluptuous, Brian. I've seen her picture, dude. She has the teens.
My first bachata competition. She was my judge.
She showed me a picture when she was younger and she asked me to pick, and of course I picked the wrong girl.
Okay, Coach, which one am I? Are you the shortest one? I'm like, no, I'm short, but not that short.
Yeah, but she was voluptuous, and in our industry, when it comes to Latin dancing and all of that stuff, most of the ladies that are the main attractions are like that, back in the day, especially bachata, especially salsa, and all of that stuff. But I wanted to ask you, Kathy, what do you think when it comes to intensity? What do you think is the difference between the dance prep for competition versus the fitness prep?
I think mainly is the food, what you eat. I feel that in dance and fitness, you have a peak week, right?
Yes, you do.
To where when I used to prepare for the World Latin Dance competition, which you were also a judge when I competed, I had to watch what I ate as I got closer to my competition because it would affect my stamina, my tricks, my dancing, everything. So you really did have to clean up the eating.
Yeah.
So, and it is the same process with these, right? Like for here, my training is the weights, the repetition, and in dance is the exact same thing. It's repeating the choreography, you're working on the weakness. So there's a lot of similarities, in my opinion.
Except you're going to state as a couple. This one, you're going to state as your own.
Right, unless you were doing like a solo, right? Which I haven't done too many solo competitions.
Yeah.
But yeah, you depend on the other person. But here it feels the same because it's still like, it feels it's a team. It's my coach and I. What I go through, he goes through. What he goes through, I go through. You know, even though we're not stepping on stage, you know, he's still like going through everything, all the emotional aspect, like he knows about it, like you have no idea, you know, like he has to deal with that, you know, or what he goes through, like I have to be there for him. So we're there for each other.
That's what coaches go through, by the way.
and that's what a great, I mean, not necessarily, because we've heard, right, coach, about coaches who like just put their athletes down. And I am blessed to have him as my coach. I would not trade him for anyone in the world, you know. And just like in the dance industry, right, there are the coaches that have the big teams, the big names, right?
Yeah.
And in 100 students in the team, right, franchise or whatever, and online stuff. And then you have the not so big, right, coaches like that have the big name. You know what you say, they're underrated, right? You've said that phrase before. You're like, oh, that person, like him or her, like that person's legit and they need to be known, right?
Correct.
Because you as an organizer, you gave me my first opportunity as a solo artist.
Yeah.
Right. You believed in me. And so like sometimes you just need to believe in that person, right? And for me, like he's the best. And I wouldn't change that for the world. So like if I'm growing, he's growing. If he's growing, I'm growing. You know? So it kind of feels like we're both like, and I think that's the most amazing thing, that we're both like moving up together. Like this is our first time at a national show. And so we both get to experience that. So I'm like, oh my God,
it's exciting, man.
It's just so exciting. Then having someone, again, this is my opinion, then having someone who has had a bunch of clients and all they do is like, okay, well, you're going to do this, you know? He gets so excited and I get excited and it's like, it's perfect.
I'm a calm, excited person. Calm excitement.
He is calm.
Until it happens.
even when it happens, you know what? It's kind of weird because this show is the one show I'm not going to look at when they're on stage, because on stage there are things that I can see that I can't see in the gym or when they're even practicing. So I can look in comparison to others and I can say, that's what I need to work on.
Yeah.
They don't know that. When they do their other shows, half the time they laugh at me because I carry around my laptop. You know, everyone makes fun of me. But I'm writing notes down to what I need to work on next, because if they're going to keep competing, there's no reason just to keep doing amateur shows. My whole thing is I want to train them to be the pro. But I've got other girls that are nationally qualified. They just haven't taken the step to come to nationals.
Well,
okay. And that's the difference. This last show she did, from the time she got her last show in last December, the minute it was done, and she was okay by like Tuesday or Wednesday from the last show, we were like nationals.
I mean, I didn't even know what happens like after a post show, man. I mean, she was into certain things, but I was in Hawaii, and it was a mental battle. I can tell you that.
No, last year
was something else, girl. I mean,
last year, put it this way, I didn't have a peak week last year.
Yeah.
She got so sick on Thursday that I think between Thursday and Saturday, she probably had some peanut butter, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and a rice cake, and probably 16 ounces of water, because if she had anything, it went the wrong way.
Yeah, so, not to mention she's been flying also.
And her father came down for her last show. And I never felt that she was in physical danger of something horrible going wrong. Else I'd have just been like, we're done.
Yeah, you would have pulled me out.
I would have been like, we're done. That stuff, when it comes to their personal safety, there's no question. There's no debate about it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
and she had done well all during the week. My whole problem was I didn't get a chance to carve her up. What are we gonna do? But when she went on stage, I'm telling you, a pin dropped. You could have heard a pin drop.
She looked great, man. I mean, despite of what was happening, geez, you know, that was some kind of miracle, dude.
Yeah, it really was. It was God right there by my side, because I remember I was about to get on that stage, and I kept praying, and I just kept asking, just let me get through my routine without having an accident up there.
But you were kind of stressed out, because I remember in hotel, you would even go out on the beach and jog. I don't know what time it was, you know.
Yeah, no, but when I started getting sick on that Thursday, it was just really bad, where standing straight would be painful.
Wow.
I was just, so much happened that weekend, right? We don't want to go into details here,
but it was, put it this way, that show, I had 5 people in that show, and no, we had 6.
Something like that.
6,
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6. I had to manage the others, right? So managing them, and she was left alone. I literally would just text her or send other girls to go get her wherever she was sitting at. Okay, she got to pump up. We got to get her on stage. When she came off, she went back. Then that was her day. But we've learned the hard way sometimes, you know, they think that I get a little stressed out. So I always buy a coach's pass, right? So this is years down the road. This is the beginning. So I had a coach's pass, and we had this dual, you know, show competition where they had the military and non-military.
Yeah.
And I was telling the girls at the time, hey, you guys got to, you know, put those suits on and get ready to go, because one of our girls had to go up for figure. And they, you're stressing me out. Then I come up and I said, hey, figure girl's going up in 2 minutes. And one of my girls missed going on stage.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
And she felt horrible, of course. The other girl was pissed off and felt horrible. And then everybody was upset with me because I wasn't mad at them.
Mm.
Right? And I told them, I said, I still have another girl to get on stage.
Wow.
I got to manage her, get her calm enough so that she can actually go on stage now. I said, so I can't be worried about what happened with the other girl. I mean, I'll talk to her and keep her calm, but I had to because she was distraught. So
that was my high school friend, and right? I got her into doing this competition, and she looked freaking amazing. And
yes, she did.
And the fact that she missed her show, I was like,
that sucks.
I felt like I missed my show.
Yeah, because we were so excited for her to go on stage for the first time, you know, because it was just happenstance we even got her. They were in the gym in LA, and she talked her into doing it, and she was just listening to me, and I would say, okay, make sure she does this, exercise this and this. And then that day came, and so now they don't say anything to me. They still say I kind of stress them out a little bit because I'm always a little intense, but I'm always walking around trying to make sure they're not getting stuck or missed out on something if something's going to change, because things change at shows at times.
So, Brian, what do you want her to do Saturday, 24 hours before Sunday?
I want it. If I could, I'd freeze her. I'd freeze her body so that we can't screw shit up, okay? I'd freeze her.
I hate that moment, man. I hate that moment because peaking is an art.
Yes.
Even if you make a slight mistake, oh my God, you know. So
this has been probably the easiest peak week, going into peak week I've ever had with her. Okay, and she's progressed perfectly.
She's done her homework.
You keep going so well. You keep waiting, man. I don't want to get complacent, because if I get complacent,
that's
true. Because the whole thing is, the only thing that matters is game time on that stage. I don't care what you look like now necessarily. I mean, I do, but it's all what you look like when you present your body on stage.
Correct.
You can be the best body up there, but if you can't pose and you have a poor presentation, you have poor stage presence. The judges can sense that. They're not gonna, regardless of how good you look, correct. Especially at this level, because they're looking at giving you a pro card. So now that means you really have to compete against people that have been training for 15 years, maybe ahead of you.
That's another ball game right there.
Years, yep. Right? So it's a new challenge after this.
It's a new challenge after that. the competition, guys, do you have to be a first place to get the pro, or do you have to be in a top 3 or top 2 or what?
Top two for her.
Okay.
I apologize. I didn't answer your question. As far as tomorrow's her day. Her water is shorter. She only has a half gallon of water that she's got to milk most of the day.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. She's only she gets the carb up, but before every meal, I have to look at her and make sure there's no pour over.
Yeah.
Okay. And make sure that everything is where she's supposed to be, where it's supposed to be. Because if she has pour over, we just cut it off. We got to wait till tomorrow.
Right.
But she hasn't had any of those kind of problems or anything like that since we started. Her body's responded very well. And everything we've done with her nutrition, even this week, the foods are all the same, pretty much no change whatsoever, other than the macros and bringing her calories down a little bit.
Yeah.
But so tomorrow she's going to eat the same number of carbs on her high carb day that she's been eating. And we'll see how she looks. Plus she's going to carb up again on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So my whole goal is she looks full by the evening, really full, looks great, veins are everywhere, and she wakes up a little flat tomorrow morning. That tells me that her glycogen stores are empty, down enough to where now we can put some more carbs in her and fill her up and make her look good on stage again.
Yeah,
her vascularity has been great. Even during this time she's been flat, supposed to be flat, she's still been very vascular, but her veins aren't as popping as hard, but they're still there.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah. I like the way she looked like last year. I'm excited to see how she looks this year when she's actually on stage. It'd be something else. Now, Kathy, you measured your waist as 22, I believe, earlier. What's your measurement like on off season?
No, 22 and 7/8, right?
7/8.
Yeah, 22 and 7/8. That's where her waist is.
Damn.
The smallest I've had in the past has been 24.
So when you're not competing though, Kathy, what's your waist?
I think 27.
No way.
Yes, 27.
Are you serious?
Girl.
Can you believe that, Brian?
He has a 20.
Can you believe that, Brian? That's 20. That's 20.
27.
That's from 27 to 22. Are you crazy?
27. I've been 27. I kid you not. When they measure me for my costumes, I'm 27. That has been my heavy waist. 24 is tiny.
But ever since you got into the fitness industry, you haven't been on the heavyweight side, meaning your old self, when I told you you're voluptuous and all that stuff. Ever since you got into the fitness industry, the consistency between the fitness competition and the dance competition, it's always been the same as far as your weight is concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I think my heaviest have been my weight right now, like in the last 6 years, let's say, right? For a while, I was like, my range was 115, 118, right? But the last 2 years, since I went vegetarian, my weight did go up to 122. That has been the heaviest. When you met me, I was heavier. I was like in the 127.
Yeah.
But today, I'm 106.
Yeah, and you want to be at least in your peak on 104 to 104. Is that correct?
It's not that we want to be, because like he says, it's how you look. But that's what we're assuming.
We kind of presume that that's where her weight will be. Like her weight, she kind of got stagnant, but she was holding water because she was going through her menstrual. So now that it's over, she's finally dropped the water that we wanted to drop. So she's at 106. And I had said before, I said, I think you're at 106 anyways.
Yeah.
So initially, the way she was coming down, I thought she was going to be she was coming down so fast. I was trying to figure out how to slow her down to a degree. I thought she'd be like between 98 and 103 pounds, maybe on stage full. Whereas now she's probably going to be between 100 and 103 or 105, right in there. I expect to lose maybe one more pound of water, maybe. If she doesn't, it's fine. But today has been her biggest drop because she was 108, then 107, then today was 106.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Now, Kathy, how long do you want to do this?
Well, right now, this is my focus, and that's what I was saying earlier.
Well, it's a good thing, during pandemic, dance is
is
closed, right? There's no dance, right? Now you have this alternative, you know.
Now I have this art. Even if dance was in my life, I know that now I want to do this at a professional level. So that's the goal. Whether this is our first chance to go pro, right? So
Yeah.
whether I get the pro card or not, I think what matters for me personally, I know how to win, and I never lose. I always learn. That's always here. So if I get fifth place, I get happy. Even at World Latin Dance Cup, I got fifth place. Yeah, top 5. So like in the regional competition, right, which is the qualifiers.
Yeah.
When I would get top 5, I felt like I got first place, you know. And so ultimately, you want to look better than your previous show, and
Absolutely.
That's all I care. And I keep hearing the research that I've done, that if you make it to the top 10 at a national, that's like whoa.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I'm just trying to make it to the top 10.
This is NPC National. Are you kidding me?
This is national. This is the USA's. If it's God's will, it will happen. If it's not my chance to go pro this year, I'll have another chance next year. And believe me, it's not gonna discourage me.
Good.
I have the mentality of like, all right, cool. What's next? What's our feedback? What do we need to work on? So I don't have a problem with that.
Well, the way she looks at things, perceives things, as far as like in competition, is a very good mindset. And I was telling her, I said she's kind of has an underdog view, which I agree with. I'm an underdog kind of guy myself. No matter how good I would think I would be, there's always somewhere that I'm not seeing something, you know, I need to improve, or I need to do that. And I'm kind of, as a trainer, I'm kind of like that too. Because anytime I run into something with them, like she's got injuries. She got an injury 2 weeks ago that we had to work around.
Yeah.
So my job was, don't irritate the joint of that injury. And how can I get her to do similar exercises to work that muscle that doesn't irritate the joint? If it does, we just stay away from it because it's a problem. We don't want to have that. It's like yesterday, we were finally doing her last weight training before Sunday. I was telling her, I said, I'm not sure if I even want to mess around with this exercise, because if we irritate that joint, are you going to be comfortable on stage?
Yeah.
I said, at this point, there's no reason to do it, because, you know, when those girls are here and their hand, you know, they're moving their shoulders and moving their, you know, you've been on stage, I've been on stage. If you're on stage, you are in awkward positions. Whereas if a person could be standing right beside you, they look and be like, why in the hell are you standing that way? Right? But from a judge's point of view, you look perfect.
Yeah.
Your body is being accentuated the way it needs to be for them to see it. So my thing was, I didn't want her to be on stage and be uncomfortable and thinking about anything more than, I need to do this pose, I need to have this, don't forget this, or whatever. I don't want her to be like, man, my shoulder's killing me, or my leg is, I don't want to have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's a great thing about Kathy, that even with injuries, even in competition, you will never detect that she has injuries. Because she's so used to on stage, not to mention she has this acting ability on putting a face on stage. Trust me, in the dance, you know, even if she hates or she doesn't like the guy she's partnering with, you're gonna think she is in love with him during the dance. Seriously, dude, she fooled me. That's why I give her high points in judging. But Kathy and Brian, what's the industry like? What's the future of this industry you guys are in? Is it booming?
Well, it's kind of hard to know if it is under these COVID circumstances, because it's a struggle to actually get on stage. This show here has had 3 different, usually this show is in July in Las Vegas. Yeah. It was moved to Los Angeles, and, you know, because this was like in April, they moved it to Los Angeles because they knew they weren't going to happen in July because of COVID. It went from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, and a week later it went from Las Vegas to Phoenix. So when you have that kind of stuff going on, this is a national show, and people can change, you know, change where they got to go and how, because it changes your money, changes where you get, how much money you might have to spend. It could be cheaper for you. It could be more expensive, you know? So in an amateur show and not a national show, you're gonna lose competitors. I'm sure they lost some competitors for this, but it's much more important to get to this national show to try to get that pro card, and you got to pull out all the stops to get here. So for us, we were pretty much, I actually thought we'd be in Florida.
I've been watching the industry lately, even before pandemic, when it comes to the conventions. Like let's say Mr. Olympia, dude, I was planning to go to Las Vegas, and of course they moved it to Florida, as you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I can't go. But without the pandemic, I think that this industry is going to be booming because they keep creating more categories. So it's something that I've been looking at with 3 of the bodybuilders that we may be thinking of organizing one, but now we have to connect ourselves with NPC, because if you have to have a convention like that, if you really want attendees and competitors, you gotta be affiliated with NPC. So that's another, that's the second step that we're trying to do with the 3 bodybuilders that want to do it with me. But that's the reason I was asking you guys, like, what's the environment like before pandemic, during pandemic? And I can see that even in pandemic, during pandemic, it's still happening. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
He had 3 girls competing a month ago, and that show was in San Diego.
Yeah.
And nobody was able to, they didn't have an audience in San Diego. It was only the competitors.
Yeah.
So we all had to be in the hotel room looking at
Live stream.
Yeah.
And that was hard for him as a coach, because he couldn't be near the girls. And I think for this national show, all I care is for him to be in there, So we were doing research. My sister's here with me, and so is Patty, my really good friend.
Yeah.
And so I know that I have 1 ticket guarantee for 1 person. That's my coach.
Yeah.
And so whatever else, they have limited amount of tickets for audience to keep, to still follow COVID protocols.
Yeah.
And so I think that's all I care about, for him to have that moment live, because it's so different for trainers to, look at your athlete, and tell them, okay, well, try to pump now, or do this, or, And so I think that was hard for him last month with the 3 girls.
Yes, because we have one of our girls that was doing very well. Well, they were all doing very well, but one of my girls, when she did her back pose, she let her knees buckle. Normally, I would be down there and I could have yelled knees. I literally yelled it, open your knees. No one would have known who I was talking to, but my girl would have recognized my voice. Or she would have come in the back and I would have said to her, hey, you were out there one time and said, next time you go and pose, you got to open your knees.
You're comparison.
Right?
Yeah.
So the whole thing was, that's what I didn't like. Because once they went in the back, you were screwed. You couldn't say anything to them. If they didn't, and they would leave their phone in one room to go to another room before they went on stage.
Yeah.
So you couldn't text them to say, hey, so it was difficult. But, NPC, these guys in San Diego had a lot of competitors because it was the last amateur show for the year.
Yeah.
So they got rid of 2 other shows. So everybody showed up to it. They lost their money in the sense that they couldn't have an audience, right? Because people pay for tickets. So that's $50 a head that would have come in and filled up an auditorium. And they used to have it where they had another spot where if you couldn't sit inside the auditorium, they had a big screen that you could sit outside in another area and watch there.
Right.
So, and then you got the sponsors. Sponsors can't go inside. They can go inside. The only people that can go inside and watch, at least for that last show, was sponsors. But they couldn't have their booths up to make their money that they used to make at these shows. So there's a lot of things that are transpiring with this COVID, and how do you manage that? The mask, no mask, all that kind of nonsense.
Like right now, when I do my posing on Sunday, I'm gonna go in there. When I go by myself on stage, I'm going with no mask. But the moment that they do the comparisons, then I have to have my mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How I'm going to have it? I gotta figure out the details. No, I actually feel safe.
Really?
We got COVID right before we came here, so
Yeah, we had a small scare, so we had to go and get tested.
Yeah.
And we did the rapid test, so we found out in 30 minutes, and we're both negative. So that was a relief both ways, because at least we both know that we were tested negative, because we were staying in the same place. She was staying in my house with me and my wife, for this whole week. So last 2 weeks. So plus my wife's pregnant. You know Pauline, right?
Do I know Pauline?
I know Pauline.
Didn't I meet her in San Diego?
You what?
Yes.
Okay. I know her then. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
We just made this public, by the way.
Oh shit.
We just made this public because it's not on social media yet. Like he's gonna.
Brian, how long you been doing this, dude?
Doing what?
Coaching.
Training.
Coaching.
For shows, actual coaching for shows, and actually putting people on stage, because there are people I work with, but I wasn't their primary coach, so I'd probably say only about 6 years.
Okay, now how long you been lifting?
Ooh.
Well, I've been lifting weights.
My coach is legit.
I've been lifting weights probably.
Okay.
I'm gonna age myself.
No, look at his arms, dude. Yeah.
I've been lifting over 25, 30 years probably.
You know, he's rocking. You can do it, sure.
Now, what's your Brian? What's your opinion based on your experience with people going natural and they're just beginning bodybuilding? What do you think is a good age for them to start that way and keep developing?
13.
Agreed. Okay, good. Yeah,
13.
yeah. That's about right.
That's about the time where, you know, the boys are going through puberty. There are some changes that are going on, but even at that age, they can gain strength, but they don't always gain size because their body's still developing. They can be growing tall, so on and so forth, but they're at least at an age that they can manage it. If they're below that, I'm not saying they can't do like medicine ball or sand bags maybe, but the weight, it should be repetition. It shouldn't be, and it should be movement. It should be agility, that sort of stuff, and coordination. It shouldn't be about them getting all bulked up like they're going to be, they want 18-inch arms by the time they're 15.
Yeah, agreed. And Kathy, now, what motivates you from doing this?
What motivated me?
Wait, did you say from doing this or doing this?
On doing this, in doing this consistently, what motivates you? Because there's that temptation. It's like, damn, this shit is too hard, you know?
You know, I think what motivates me is the self-growth, the mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah, but when you see your body grows and changes like that the way you want it to, isn't that encouraging? I mean, don't you think?
Oh, super. It pumps me up.
And that's one of the motivation that I can see.
What am I doing wrong, you know?
Well, I mean, you've been doing some Zoom training there with others, which is really cool, you know.
Which that has actually, I think we both agree that my coach was like, that's gonna help you so much. Oh, yeah.
So Brian,
I said that because
I can't see you on social media, man. If people want to train with you, how do they contact you?
Where there's a will, there's a way. You know, I'm running into some problems because I'm very much one-on-one. I don't like to do group training because I don't feel like everybody is equal per se.
Yeah.
There's certain things that people need to work on that others don't. And with that in mind, it kind of, to me, becomes more difficult because I don't want to hold someone back, and I'm much more one-on-one. Whereas, you know, when you get a big team or you have a lot of people, that can become a problem. You end up in the gym training 8 hours a day, kind of where I'm at right now. But I appreciate that, though. I don't like the group stuff necessarily. I mean, I can do it, and that's how I was brought up in the industry, starting out with group training, so I understand how to do it. Now, I'll do 2 people, maybe 3. But, you know, if let's say I've got her, and she's going to do group training, and I've got 3 new girls, none of them are going to be able to keep up with her.
Yeah.
So she's going to be sitting there like, okay, well, what do I do? I'm waiting for this girl.
Yeah.
And this barely weight. So it's difficult to do that. So then she'd be forced to do one-on-one. And if that's the case, she'd pay for the group and then pay me extra for the one-on-one. This is financially tolling, you know, costing a lot of people money anyways.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So I try to make it as reasonable as possible financially with the girls, else they're never going to get on there because the kind of money it costs. I mean, some of these big teams, you know, it's like $45 an hour just to do group training. And then if you want extra, you got to pay another $75. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I don't know how they do it.
Now, the type of clients that you have, are they all local or, I mean, Kathy is not local, obviously, but do they come from different places in California?
We did have until COVID we had a guy named Ken coming from the Bay Area.
That was
Wow.
one of my bachelor students.
Wow, really? That's good. That's good.
We got people that come from LA. So
you know who chased with him from LA? Alvin.
Alvin, really?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
good. Alvin's got good genetics too. He's old like me, but it's all good.
hey, I want to get him on stage, but he says all he wants to do is be pool party fat, so he's okay.
No, I think he could do the health and wellness for men, because
He could.
I've looked at it. It's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good.
I know he could, but Alvin, he's like,
Coach has this thing where it's like, are you pool party fat or are you stage ready? So he has this, you want to explain to him so he understands?
So pool party fat is someone like before they go to peak week, they're rocking, right?
Yeah.
But they still have their water. On stage, that person is going to look fat based on how this works with the depletion.
Right.
But at a pool party, that girl or that dude couldn't keep people away from him because he's so shredded. So I always tell him, hey, you want to be pool party fat or stage ready? One or the other.
Pretty good. I like that questioning, man. What did he say?
I was like, oh, Alvin, are you eating dinner? Well, I'm just trying to be pool party fat. Hilarious. He actually brought a shirt.
I have a shirt that says that pool party fat.
And
that's pretty good, man. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, Brian, can they contact you by email, social media, or what? You have a website or what?
Usually people will contact me through Facebook Messenger or they'll contact me on IG.
Okay.
And most of the people that do come to me, I do pull a lot from the dance community.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a big time attraction. Once people see Kathy, they're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. And
because most of the people in our industry are very fitness conscious. And so, and if they want to go to another level, there's Brian right there. So there's that. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to coaching, as the Bible says, I'm going to get religious on you guys, as you shall know them by their fruits. And Brian right here, that's Kathy right there. And I've seen Kathy evolved when it comes to fitness, from the dancing thing to fitness, because of Body by Brian. Is that the business name now? Body by Brian? That's what Kathy is calling it, dude.
That's what I go by, but they named it. I didn't. To me, Body by Brian is too arrogant. I think it's too arrogant.
Well, you got to have a brand name at least, Brian.
I agree. I tried to get them to come up with another name other than Body by Brian, and I like Body by Brian. I was like, okay, fine.
That's good. Well, I'll be watching Kathy, and I'm pulling for Kathy to become pro. It'd be a great encouragement from the dance industry that dancing is not the only thing we do. We do other things, and when we get into it, we do it best. And good luck, Kathy. Good luck, Brian. And once again, condolence to your father. It's great to see you guys and talk to you guys and to get more details about your prep and preparations and whatnot. And it's really good to know it, because a lot of people are listening to this podcast. I think the highest views we've ever had was like 6,000, but then that was a steroid episode. But we'll see. We'll see what this one is, because a lot of people love Kathy. And so, I thank both of you.
Famous.
Yeah. We'll make it famous.
Some people see her and they just think that, she is to a degree an anomaly in some aspects, but at the same token, she's still human too, right? So some people have this thing where she can do that, I can't necessarily. And they don't realize that when you're working with someone, getting them ready for a show, you're putting them on a regimen that they don't even realize they're on. So it becomes very normal to them to worry about their meals, to worry about their training, their cardio. The day after the show, they don't know what to do with themselves, because it's become such a system for them.
Yeah.
But it's the sing and dance, you know. If you're doing the choreography, that's what you do. That's it. Hell, you go and try to social dance and you're doing the choreography, you're doing that, you know, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but that's how it works.
Well, I mean, Kathy is really a great example in our industry as far as how she dealt with things during the pandemic, because she kept herself busy instead of just staying over there getting depressed. What to do now? Where's my employment? You know, this type of thing. And Kathy has been busy.
And hustle mentality, because you know
it's the mentality, yes.
You know, I call her. She earned the name gangster.
Well, she is a gangster. Have you ever?
I used to call her super princess.
Brian, did you ever see her get mad?
Yeah.
Who?
You saw me getting mad.
I mean, I've seen her get mad. Yeah, she gets
Brian,
mad.
I've seen her get mad, man. When she gets mad, if I was about to get into a fight, I'm not the one who's fighting them. She is the one who's fighting. That's her. She's like my wife, man. It's like, don't get in the way. You're gonna, you know, what the hell?
When we first started training, she had something go on, and she was telling me, "Yeah, I have an anger problem." I said, "What? You got an anger problem? What? Are you kidding me?" Because I couldn't imagine it, you know, at that time. So now I've learned, because you know there've been a couple times, you know, I can't tell her no. Like, she had the group training she does on Zoom, and she has me as a guest instructor. Well, I did it 1 week, and of course that meant I had to do it every week after that, until I had to go till the gym opened up for me. And I couldn't tell her no, because you know, if you tell her no, you're gonna get punched in the forehead. So
I still haven't forgotten when Kathy told me she's moving to the Bay Area and asked for some advice. And I basically told her, just be yourself. A lot of people like you. And guess what? I mean, she even did better in LA. She even did better in San Francisco than LA, for crying out loud. And that's because of her tenacity, you know, intensity, of course.
I think I've always been very open to self-growth.
Yeah.
And that's very important. A lot of people are very close-minded, and they want to be who they are, and like no room for improvement. Yeah. And I have always been like, okay, you know what? I messed up this time. How can I fix it? I let a lot of people down in LA and in San Diego, a lot of students. Also, it also comes with maturity, right? Like,
of course.
Mature, like you decide, you choose your battles, right? So and I've learned, and I remember when I made that transition in my head, I was more into like, I don't want to make the same mistakes I made in San Diego or LA. I want to be better, you know. And even now, like, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna have bumps on the road. I'm gonna fall, get up. I'm gonna make mistakes, and then I'm gonna learn from it. And that's just a part of the process. But I think what has helped me as an individual has been to be open-minded about self-growth and wanting to improve, you know?
Brian, when she trains with you, it's in San Diego, is that correct?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, Kathy is from the east side of San Francisco, which is Vallejo, and she drives to San Diego to train with Brian. Are you kidding me? That's like 12 hours or so, or something. Because I know LA is 6 hours, right, Kathy? And that's probably 8 hours. Yeah.
8 or 9. And yeah, that's what I do. I drive. I know this last time, the last few times I drove straight to the gym to train.
That's dedication right there, ladies and gents. And don't ever complain that your dance studio or your gym is half hour away. Ever. You know. So anyway, guys, thank you. We are Friday right now, Saturday, Sunday. Oh my God. Sunday is the day. So I'm sure we're going to hear from you guys. Good luck, good wishes, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for this, Rodney.
Take care, big man.
Love you guys.
Love you too.